Let's talk about the one thing you can say that will have a man treating you like a queen. I'm telling you right now, this ain't about manipulation, and it ain't about trying to trap nobody. This is about understanding a truth. Men don't just want to be loved, we want to be respected. That's the real currency for a man. When a woman knows how to speak to the king in her man, oh, she unlocks a whole new level in him. And I know some of y'all are thinking, well, what does that even mean, Steve? Let me break it down for you. You see, ladies, when you walk up to your man and say, baby, I appreciate how hard you work. I know you got pressure on you, and I see you pushing through. Anyway, you make me feel safe. Let me tell you something. That man's chest gonna puff out like he just won the Super Bowl. Why? Because you just spoke life into him. You just reminded him that he matters, that what he does means something. You made him feel like he's doing his job as a man, and that's powerful. See, we live in a world where men are constantly being told we ain't enough, that we don't open up, that we don't communicate, that we ain't emotional enough. But you want to change a man. You want to bring out the protector, the provider, the gentleman. Then you speak to the part of him he's been starving to hear. Tell him I trust you, not just when everything's going perfect, but when it ain't. That's the moment that will flip a switch in a man's heart. Let me tell you, when a man hears I trust you, it hits different. You're not just saying you believe in his decision making. You're saying I see something in you that maybe even you forgot was there. That's queen energy. A real man knows when he's in the presence of a woman who sees him. Not just what he does, but who he is. You see, it's not about saying something fake or flattering. It's about being intentional. You gotta make it real. If you say, you make me feel safe, say it with your eyes, say it with your tone. Let it land on him like truth, not like strategy. A man knows when a woman is being genuine. And when you speak like that, when you let him know, you make my life better. You ain't gotta ask for flowers or dates or calls. That man gon' do it automatically because he wants to show up for you. You just gave him a reason. Now, some women might say, well, I'm not saying all that if he ain't doing nothing. I get it. I'm not saying hand out compliments to clowns, but if you see potential, if he's showing up even a little bit, and you want more, feed the good. Speak to what you want more of. You'd be surprised how much a man will rise when he feels seen. Because, man, we're simple creatures. Feed us, appreciate us, speak kindly to us, and we'll move mountains. But criticize us, nag us, question our value, and we'll shut down or walk away. It ain't right, but it's real. Yeah. So the next time you're with your man, don't lead with what he ain't doing. Lead with what you see in him that's worth celebrating. That one sentence, I appreciate you and I trust you, might just be the beginning of him treating you like royalty. Say it like you mean it and watch the king rise. Because when a man feels like a king, you best believe he'll treat his woman like a queen. Confidence is the secret sauce. See, men are hunters by nature. They chase what they feel is worth the effort. And nothing draws a man in like a woman who walks like she knows her value. I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm talking about that quiet, unshakable energy that says, I don't need you, but I'd love to share my world with you. That's what makes a man pay attention. That's what sets you apart. When you speak to him, when you text him, when you're in his presence, if you carry yourself like a woman who is already whole, you change the entire dynamic. Neediness repels a man. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are, how sweet you are, and how loving you are. If he senses that you're chasing him to feel validated, he's gone. Not because he's cruel, but because that kind of energy puts pressure on them to be your everything. And that's not his job. A man wants to enhance your life, not carry it. So if you walk into the room with desperation in your tone, like, why haven't you called me? What are we? Do you still like me? You're slowly draining your own power. But when you show up confident, laughing, glowing. Focused on your own goals, he feels like he has to earn a seat at your table. Let me tell you something. Fellas don't want a woman begging to be loved. They want a woman who knows she's lovable already. That's the truth. Men are drawn to women who don't chase but invite. You smile, you speak kindly, you flirt with ease, but you don't cling. That makes a man wonder, who is this woman who ain't out here trying to impress me, but somehow has all my attention? That's what sets the tone. Confidence tells a man, this woman is standards. She's not out here settling. She knows what she brings, and I better come correct. And that tone you set from the beginning, it matters more than you think. When a man meets a woman who leaves with confidence and not insecurity, he doesn't just respect her, he adjusts himself around her. He talks differently, listens more, shows up better. Because the standard has been set. You showed him from day one. I don't play about myself. That's how queens operate. And a real man, he's looking for that kind of woman. He's not afraid of her. He's inspired by her. Confidence doesn't mean you never show emotion. It doesn't mean you never get vulnerable. It just means your worth isn't tied to his response. If he texts you back, cool. If he doesn't, you're still good. If he's making an effort, you notice it. But you don't chase validation. And that type of presence, that's rare. That's what makes a man step back and say, I gotta do right by her. Here's the thing. When you set the tone with confidence, you create a space where a man wants to rise to the occasion. You're not auditioning for him. He's auditioning for you. And the beautiful part, you don't have to do anything extra. You just have to be yourself fully. The version of you that doesn't apologize for having standards. The version of you that doesn't shrink to keep a man. The version of you that knows any man lucky enough to be in your life has to match your energy, not drain it. So don't let loneliness trick you in to thinking you need to settle. Don't let a good-looking man with weak intentions make you lower your voice or your value. Walk in your truth. Speak from a place of abundance, not lack. And always remember, confidence sets the tone, but consistency keeps the throne. And when you set the tone with confidence, the right man won't just pursue you, he'll cherish you. A man will always follow your lead when it comes to how you value yourself. If you walk around acting like you're not worthy, constantly doubting yourself, constantly seeking reassurance, that's exactly how he'll treat you. But when you move like a woman who knows her worth, who honors her time, her energy, and her standards, you automatically command a different level of treatment. See, people take cues from how you treat yourself. You show a man how to treat you by what you accept, what you tolerate, and most importantly, by what you don't entertain. Let me tell you something about men. They're not complicated, but they are observant. He may not say it out loud, but he's paying attention to how you carry yourself. If you're constantly available, always rearranging your schedule to fit his, letting him cancel on you last minute, never speaking up when something bothers you, he'll think she's okay with that. And once he thinks that, it becomes the norm. That's how you end up in a situation where you're doing everything, giving everything, hoping he'll realize your value, but he never does, because you already taught him it was okay to give you less. Now, flip the script. If you're the kind of woman who sets boundaries, who speaks up without being disrespectful, who lets him know, hey, I'm not comfortable with that, or this doesn't work for me, that man will stop and listen. Not because you yelled, not because you threatened to leave, but because you showed him that your peace is not up for negotiation. That's power. That's how you shift from being a good option to being the one he has to level up for. Valuing yourself isn't just about having confidence. It's about consistency. It's not something you turn on when things are good and then throw out the window when you start catching feelings. You've got to stay grounded. Even when he's fine. Even when the chemistry's crazy. Even when he's saying all the right things. Because if your standards disappear the moment you like him, he's going to test just how far he can go. And not because he's evil, but because men respond to structure. And the structure you set in the beginning, that's the one that will either hold him accountable or give him permission to slack off. You want him to treat you like a queen? Start treating yourself like one. Don't wait for him to validate you. Validate yourself. You want flowers? Buy them. You want a nice dinner? Take yourself out. You want consistency? Be consistent with your own habits, your own energy, your own self-care. The more you pour into you, the less you'll find yourself chasing someone else to fill your cup. And here's something else. When you value yourself, you don't fall for potential. You pay attention to patterns. Just because he says he's working on himself or trying to get it together doesn't mean you put your whole life on pause waiting for him to get there. You can support a man, you can encourage him, but you don't have to shrink yourself while doing it. A man who truly wants to be with you will respect the fact that you have expectations. In fact, he'll be motivated by it. Let him know through your words, your actions, and your standards that access to you is a privilege, not a guarantee. And when you live like that, you won't have to beg for respect, attention, or commitment. He'll give it freely because he knows he's dealing with a woman who doesn't play about herself. You are the blueprint for how he treats you. So if you value yourself first, he'll have no choice but to follow your lead or step aside. Men respect. A man can hear 1,000 words from a woman, but if she says just one thing with the right energy, the right timing, and the right intention, it'll echo in his soul. See, men are wired differently. They don't always express emotions like women do. They don't always know how to open up, even when they want to. But what they do respond to, every time, is a woman who speaks to them in a way that makes them feel both challenged and safe. That's the balance right there. You can be strong, opinionated, and confident, but if your communication lacks respect, kindness, or patience, he's going to shut down. A man doesn't stay where he feels constantly criticized or belittled. He stays where he feels understood. Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean you let things slide or sugarcoat what's bothering you. But it does mean learning how to speak truth with power, not pain. If you talk to him like he's a child or a disappointment, he's not going to rise up. He's going to retreat. Communication is an art. It's knowing when to pause instead of pounce. It's asking questions instead of making assumptions. It's expressing how something makes you feel instead of labeling him as the problem. Saying, when you don't call, I feel unimportant, is very different from saying, you don't care about me. The first invites conversation, the second invites conflict. And men don't respond well to feeling attacked. They respond to vulnerability paired with clarity. That combination makes a man want to fix it. That makes him listen. Also, don't underestimate the power of silence. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Let your absence speak. Let your unavailability be the message. You don't have to yell to be heard. You don't have to beg to be noticed. When a man sees you step back with dignity instead of lashing out with emotion, it hits different. He starts to think, reflect, and understand what he might lose if he doesn't show up right. And timing matters too. If you're trying to have deep conversations when he's distracted, stressed, or disconnected, it's going to go nowhere. Learn to read the room. Learn to approach him when the energy is calm, when you're not charged with emotion, when he's more likely to receive what you're saying. The goal is not just to talk. The goal is to be heard. And being heard means picking the right moment, the right tone, and the right approach. Now let's talk about appreciation. A lot of women think that if they show too much gratitude, the man will get comfortable and stop trying. But that's not true for a real man. A real man thrives on knowing he's doing something right. When you acknowledge his effort, no matter how small, you give him a reason to keep showing up. Thank you for being consistent. I love how you handled that. I appreciate you trying. Those little things, They go a long way. You're not stroking his ego. You're affirming his efforts. And affirmation is fuel for a good man. But on the flip side, you also have to be honest when something isn't working. Don't hide your hurt behind sarcasm or passive aggression. Don't assume he should just know. Speak up, not to control him, but to teach him how to love you better. That's what communication is. It's not manipulation, it's education. You're giving him the manual to your heart. But he can only use it if you're honest, clear, and willing to listen too. And remember, he's human. He's not going to get it right every time. But if he's trying, if he's growing, if he's listening, then give him room to improve. Correct him without crushing him. Challenge him without changing who he is. That balance creates intimacy, not just attraction. That's how trust is built, not just with words, but with consistency in how you speak and how you listen. If you can master the way you communicate with a man, with strength, softness, clarity, and care, you won't have to fight for his attention or affection. He'll give it to you freely because he'll feel something with you he can't get anywhere else. There's a certain kind of power in a woman who knows her worth and doesn't flinch. And one of the most powerful ways that worth shows up is in how she carries herself. A woman who values herself doesn't need to announce it. Her energy speaks before she does. The way she walks into a room, the way she looks a man in the eye, the way she speaks with confidence, not arrogance, that's what sets her apart. You want to be treated like a queen. You have to act like one first. And that's not about being perfect. That's about being intentional. Every day, in how you speak, how you dress, how you treat people, and how you allow people to treat you. Self-respect is attractive. You don't have to be the most beautiful, the most successful, or the most outgoing woman in the room. If you respect yourself, you immediately command respect from others. And a man notices that. A man feels that. A woman who respects herself doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She doesn't compromise her standards for the sake of company. She doesn't entertain disrespect just because she's lonely. That kind of woman, she's rare. And that rarity is what makes her unforgettable. When you carry yourself with worth, you don't just attract a man. You challenge him. You challenge him to step up. You challenge him to lead with honor. You challenge him to meet you where you are, not pull you down to where he is. And any man who's not ready to rise to your level will eventually fall off. And that's a blessing, because your worth filters out what isn't meant for you. You don't have to fight for it. You don't have to beg to be chosen. When you embody your value, you become undeniable. Now, let me be clear. Knowing your worth doesn't mean you walk around with an attitude. It doesn't mean you act cold or unapproachable. That's ego, not confidence. Real self-worth is warm. It's inviting, but it's not desperate. It's kind, but it's not a doormat. It's strong, but it's not harsh. It's the balance that says, I'm open to love, but I won't settle for less than I deserve. That's the kind of energy that makes a man rethink how he's showing up in your life. You don't need to convince a man of your worth. The right one will see it. The right one will feel it. But first, you have to believe it yourself. And that belief comes from doing the inner work, from healing, from setting standards, from not entertaining temporary attention when what you truly want is a lasting connection. Too many women settle because they're afraid they won't find better. But let me tell you, when you stop settling, better finds you. And it finds you fast because your energy changes. You stop tolerating nonsense. You stop explaining your value. You stop trying to prove you're worthy of love. And you start living like you already are. A woman who knows her worth doesn't compete. She doesn't compare herself to other women. She's not trying to be chosen because she already chose herself. That energy, that confidence, it's magnetic. And it doesn't come from a man. It comes from within. It's built on boundaries, healing, growth, and grace. And when a man sees that, he knows he can't come at you with games. He knows he can't waste your time. He knows he either steps correct or steps aside. There's no secret formula. There's no special line to say. You don't need to be anyone else. You just need to be fully, completely, unapologetically yourself. And when you do that, when you carry your worth like it's woven into your skin, men take notice. The right man won't just admire you. He'll pursue you, protect you, and prioritize you. Because he sees you already treat yourself like royalty, and he wants to match that energy. So if you want him to treat you like a queen, start by never forgetting that you already are one.